Hey everyone, welcome back to the True Crime Continent. Today we are talking about one of the most shocking murder cases in Chicago history. This is a story about a mother, her dreams for her son, and a betrayal so dark that it shook an entire community. If you have not subscribed yet, please do that now because we cover some of the most disturbing cases that will leave you questioning everything you think you know about family and love. The story of Yolanda Holmes starts in Chicago's uptown neighborhood, a place known for its mix of cultures, businesses, and tight-knit communities. In this neighborhood stood a hair salon called Nappy Head Salon. This was not just any salon. It was the heart of the community. People would come there not just to get their hair done, but to talk about their lives, their problems, their dreams. The woman who ran this salon was Yolanda Holmes, a 45-year-old single mother who had built something from nothing. Yolanda Holmes had a story like many immigrant and working-class Americans. She came up from nothing. She worked long hours, sometimes 16 hours a day, standing on her feet, making sure every customer who walked into her salon left happy. She was not just a hairstylist. She was a therapist, a friend, a shoulder to cry on. People remembered her not because she was famous, but because she cared about them as real human beings. Her customers came back for 15 years because Yolanda made them feel seen and valued. But the thing that made Yolanda the happiest was not her successful business. It was her son. His name was Qaw'mane Wilson, and he was her only child. Yolanda raised Qaw'mane all by herself because his father was in prison for a double murder charge for the rest of his life. When Yolanda looked at her baby boy, she saw a second chance. She promised herself that he would never know pain like she had known. He would never feel abandoned. He would never want for anything. She was going to give him everything. As Qaw'mane grew up, he became a salon baby. He was there all the time after school, watching his mother work, seeing people love her, understanding that she was someone important in her community. He was proud of his mother, but more than that, he was used to seeing her provide. She provided everything. When he wanted designer clothes, Yolanda bought them. When he wanted expensive shoes, Yolanda got them. When he wanted jewelry, Yolanda found a way to afford it. As Qaw'mane got older, he decided he wanted to be a rapper. His stage name was Young QC. Instead of telling him that was not realistic or that he needed to get a real job like most parents would, Yolanda opened her wallet. She paid for studio time. She paid for music videos. She bought him everything he needed to look like a successful rapper, even though his music was never really getting anywhere. His YouTube videos barely had hundreds of views. His music sounded like someone just starting out, not like a professional artist. Industry people never called him back. But Yolanda did not care about any of that. She believed in her son. She kept giving. When Qaw'mane needed a car, she did not just buy him any car. She worked extra shifts for months, saving every penny, so she could buy him a Mustang. A real Mustang. She handed him those keys with tears in her eyes because she was so proud. That car was supposed to show everyone that her son was a success. But inside, Qaw'mane was looking at his mother differently now. At some point, something shifted in his mind. He stopped seeing Yolanda as his mother and started seeing her as a bank account with legs. He started asking her strange questions about her life insurance policies. How much money was she worth if something happened to her? Who would get the money if she died? These are not the kinds of questions normal adult children ask their parents. These are questions from someone doing research. These are questions from someone planning something dark. But Yolanda did not see it that way. She thought he was being responsible and thinking about the future. Then came the phone calls in the middle of the night. Qaw'mane would whisper into his phone, and the moment Yolanda walked into the room, he would hang up. There were new friends around him now too, people who gave Yolanda a bad feeling. One of these friends was Eugene Spencer. Spencer was 22 years old with a criminal record. He had been arrested for theft and assault. He was the kind of street kid who was always looking for easy money. He had never held a real job. He just moved around, looking for opportunities to make quick cash however he could. Qaw'mane also had a girlfriend named Loriana Johnson. She was 23 years old, and sometimes she came around the salon acting nervous and jumpy like she was hiding something. Yolanda could sense something was off about all of this, but she pushed the feeling away. Her son told her everything was fine, so she wanted to believe him. By this time, Qaw'mane had begun forming a plan in his head. It was not born from anger or a moment where he lost control. This was cold calculation. This was greed. Qaw'mane looked at his situation and realized that his mother had become an obstacle. Every time he wanted money, he had to ask her permission like a child asking for allowance. Every time she said no or questioned what he wanted to do, it frustrated him. But if his mother was gone, everything would change. He would inherit her bank account, which had about $90,000. He would get her 2 life insurance policies. He would be the sole heir to everything she had worked for. Suddenly, he would have unlimited money. He could stop asking permission. He could buy whatever he wanted. He could live like a real star. In his twisted mind, this made sense. He convinced himself that he deserved that money more than his mother did. After all, he was young. He had his whole life ahead of him. She was just getting older. It was like an investment in his future. The plan was actually pretty simple. Qaw'mane knew his mother's building security codes because he visited her regularly. He knew when she would be home and when she would be asleep. He knew that his mother's boyfriend, Curtis Wyatt, sometimes stayed at her place. So he approached Eugene Spencer with an offer. He would give Spencer $3,500 to handle a problem. He did not say murder at first. He just said there was a problem that needed to be taken care of. He talked about how his mother was disrespecting him and holding him back from his dreams. He made it sound like justice instead of what it really was. Eugene Spencer was desperate enough and willing enough to agree. $3,500 was a lot of money to someone like him. He did not ask too many questions. He did not think about the fact that he was being asked to take someone's life. He just saw dollar signs. He told Qaw'mane that he would do it. On the night of September 2nd, 2012, Qaw'mane called his mother and told her he was coming over. This was important because it meant she would be expecting him at the door. He gave Eugene the building access codes. He told Eugene to wear a disguise so he would blend in. Eugene took a detergent bottle and some clothes on hangers, things that would make him look like a resident doing laundry in the building at 4 in the morning. But here is the part that makes this crime even darker. Qaw'mane did not just send Eugene and hope for the best. He told Eugene to wear headphones. Not to listen to music. He told Eugene to wear headphones so they could stay on the phone together. Qaw'mane was going to listen to the whole thing. He was going to give real-time instructions. This was not just a murder for hire. This was remote control murder. This was a son calling the shots while someone beat his mother to death. At 4:15 in the morning, Eugene Spencer entered the building at the code Qaw'mane gave him. Security cameras caught it all. A young man in a hoodie carrying a detergent bottle and clothes on hangers. No one suspected anything. He took the elevator up, and the whole ride took 37 seconds. When he got to Yolanda's door, the phone was already ringing. Qaw'mane was waiting on the other end, whispering instructions. The door was unlocked. His mother was asleep in the back bedroom. Her boyfriend might be there, but do not worry about him. Just handle his mother and get out. Curtis Wyatt woke up to sounds in the hallway. In the dark, he saw a figure moving toward the bedroom where Yolanda was sleeping. When Curtis tried to get up to investigate, Eugene panicked and fired a shot. The bullet missed Curtis, but it woke Yolanda up from her sleep. That is when everything turned into chaos and blood. The attack lasted about 14 minutes. 14 minutes for a mother's life to end. While all of this was happening, Qaw'mane was on the other end of the phone listening to every gunshot, every scream, every moment of his mother's death. When Eugene hesitated after the first attack, thinking maybe his mother was already dead, Qaw'mane's voice came through the headphones. It was cold. It was emotionless. "Make sure that bitch is dead," he said. "I do not want any mistakes." Those words were recorded. Later, they would be played in court. A son giving the kill order on his own mother while she was fighting for her life. Eugene escaped from the apartment. Curtis Wyatt was left bleeding and unconscious. Yolanda Holmes would never see another sunrise. But Qaw'mane Wilson's night was just getting started. While paramedics were rushing to the scene and police were beginning their investigation, Wilson was already at an ATM checking his mother's account balance. He was planning his shopping spree. The woman who had just died for him was still warm, and he was already thinking about how to spend her money. 3 days later, on September 5th, 2012, Qaw'mane Wilson walked into Chase Bank with his mother's death certificate. The bank teller who helped him later told police that Wilson seemed excited. He was almost giddy. He was smiling. He transferred $90,000 from his mother's retirement account into his own name. This was money that Yolanda had been saving for her own retirement, money she had earned through hard work and sacrifice. Now her son was taking it all. Most sons would be planning memorial services or spending time with their family grieving. Qaw'mane was planning the most disgusting shopping spree Chicago had ever seen. His first stop was a custom car garage on the south side. He dropped $30,000 to install gull wing doors on that Mustang his mother had bought him. The mechanic who did the work remembered Wilson bragging about his inheritance and how he was finally going to live like the star he was always meant to be. He hit every high-end store downtown. He bought sneakers that cost $1,000. He bought designer chains. He bought clothes that cost more than what most people spend on rent in a month. Sales associates later told police that Wilson was throwing money around like he had won the lottery, not like someone who had just lost his mother. About a week after Yolanda's funeral, Wilson filmed a YouTube video that would become very important to his case. In this video, he was standing next to his newly customized Mustang in a parking lot. He was pulling out stacks of $100 bills. He was throwing them at random people, laughing maniacally as strangers scrambled to pick up his mother's retirement money off the ground. He kept saying, "This is for my fans. This is for my fans," like he was some big successful rapper. The video went viral, but not in the way Wilson wanted. People started asking questions. Where did a failed rapper get that kind of money? Nobody had ever heard of him before. His music barely had any views. Why did he suddenly have cash to throw away? Wilson loved the attention though. He was finally getting noticed, finally getting the fame he wanted. So he made more videos. He filmed himself buying expensive jewelry. He filmed himself showing off his car's new doors. He filmed himself bragging about his success. What was most disturbing about all these videos was that Qaw'mane never mentioned his mother's death even once. He did not talk about how much he missed her. He did not ask for prayers for his family. He did not show any sadness. He acted like Yolanda Holmes had never existed. He acted like the money had just magically appeared in his bank account. He had killed his mother and then forgot about her within days. Meanwhile, the Chicago Police Department was working on the case. They had Curtis Wyatt, who had seen the attacker's face. They had the crime scene, but they needed more. The detective leading the case was Michelle Wood, a homicide detective with over 20 years of experience. She had seen many murders in her career, but something about this case was bothering her. A single mother does not just get attacked and killed for no reason. There has to be a reason. The investigators found out that Yolanda had 2 cell phones registered under her name. That was strange for a single woman running a business. When they dug deeper, they discovered that the second phone was actually being used by her son. It was a gift from his mother, so she could keep him connected. But that second phone would become the thing that destroyed him. Detective Wood and her team looked at the phone records from September 2nd. What they found made them sick. There were 3 phone calls between 4 in the morning and 4:30 in the morning, right during the exact time when Yolanda was being murdered in her bedroom. The final call lasted 14 minutes and 23 seconds. That matched perfectly with the timeline of the attack. This was not just coordination between 2 criminals. This was real-time murder coaching happening over the phone. The cell tower data told an even clearer story. Eugene Spencer's phone pinged towers near Yolanda's building at exactly 4:32 in the morning, the same time the security cameras showed him entering the building with his disguise. But Qaw'mane Wilson's phone was pinging towers miles away in North Austin. He had the perfect alibi. He was nowhere near his mother's apartment. But his phone records proved he was giving instructions the whole time. The surveillance footage was devastating. It showed Eugene Spencer entering at 4:32 in the morning looking nervous but determined. The same man exiting at 4:46 in the morning in different clothes, walking past a random resident who had no idea they had just crossed paths with a murderer. 14 minutes. That was all it took. 14 minutes to destroy 2 families forever. When detectives finally brought Eugene Spencer in for questioning, he did not last long. The 22-year-old street kid thought he was tough, but 12 hours in an interrogation room with experienced detectives broke him completely. He confessed to everything. He told them how Qaw'mane had recruited him weeks before, promising $3,500 for what he called handling a problem. He described the phone call during the murder. He said Qaw'mane stayed on the line the entire time, coaching him through every step. When he hesitated after shooting Yolanda, thinking maybe she was already dead, he heard Qaw'mane's voice through the headphones. "Make sure that bitch is dead." Eugene said hearing those words in that cold, emotionless tone made him realize he was working for a complete psychopath. Lorana Johnson, the girlfriend who drove Eugene to the crime scene, was arrested 24 hours after Spencer's confession. She initially tried to say she thought they were just going to rob Yolanda, not kill her. But the phone records showed she had been in contact with both Wilson and Spencer throughout the planning. Her car showed up on multiple security cameras near the crime scene. She was guilty too. Now it was time to go after the person who started it all. Qaw'mane Wilson was arrested on December 22, 2013, more than a year after his mother's death. The detectives expected him to be shocked or defensive, or at least claim he was innocent. But he was not like that. He just sat there calmly in the interrogation room. He did not demand a lawyer. He did not say he did nothing. He just sat there like he had been expecting this day for a long time. Like he was relieved that the game was finally over. The case went to trial on March 25, 2019. By this time, the evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. The prosecutor, James McKay, did not waste time with emotional speeches. He opened with the phone records. He presented the cell tower data. He showed the jury the 14-minute call that captured a mother's murder in real time. Then he played the YouTube videos. He played the footage of Qaw'mane throwing his dead mother's retirement money at strangers while laughing and screaming. Several jurors visibly recoiled in disgust as they watched it. The most devastating moment came when Eugene Spencer took the witness stand. He repeated Qaw'mane's exact words from that night. "Make sure that bitch is dead." The courtroom fell completely silent as Spencer described hearing Yolanda's final gasps through the phone, while her own son coached her killer through the execution. Two jurors started crying. Qaw'mane just sat there with no expression on his face. The defense team tried to paint him as a grieving son who made poor financial decisions after losing his mother. But there was too much evidence. Phone records proved he orchestrated the murder. Surveillance footage proved the timeline. His own videos proved his motive. It took the jury less than 4 hours to find him guilty on all counts. The judge, Stanley Saxes, had presided over hundreds of murder cases, but he said he had never seen anything quite like this level of betrayal. When he sentenced Qaw'mane Wilson to 99 years in prison, the words he spoke cut through the entire courtroom. He talked about matricide, which means the murder of one's own mother. He said whatever he wanted, his mother gave to him. She gave him life, and it was his choice to take it away from her. Eugene Spencer received 100 years. Lorana Johnson received 25 years. But the punishment did not end in the courtroom. Prison has its own moral code, and matricide sits at the very bottom of that hierarchy. Even hardened killers, gang members, and drug dealers draw the line at murdering your own mother. Within weeks of his arrival at Stateville Correctional Center, Qaw'mane discovered that his reputation had preceded him. Prison inmates talk. They know things. The first assault happened in the shower block during his second month in prison. 3 inmates cornered Wilson and made it clear that mama's boys who kill their mothers get special treatment inside. The sexual assault was brutal and prolonged. Guards were not there to stop it. When Wilson tried to report what happened, he was told that snitches get worse treatment than matricide cases. He was stuck. The attacks became a regular thing. Wilson was passed around like currency among different prison gangs. Each one took their turn delivering their own version of justice. His commissary money was stolen. His mail was intercepted. His cell was vandalized with messages about what happens to sons who betray their mothers. After 6 months of constant abuse, Wilson could not take it anymore. He begged for protective custody. He asked for solitary confinement. The same man who had bragged about being a tough street rapper was now crying to guards about needing protection from other inmates. He spent 23 hours a day locked in a tiny cell with only 1 hour of supervised recreation in a concrete cage. The isolation broke his mind faster than the physical abuse had broken his body. Guards reported that he would spend hours talking to himself, sometimes pretending to have conversations with his dead mother. He would apologize to the walls. He would beg for forgiveness from empty air. He would scream about how nobody understood that he had really loved Yolanda. During a rare prison interview in 2021, Wilson made a statement that proved he still did not understand what he had done. He said, "Nobody loved my mother more than me. I made some mistakes, but everything I did was because I loved her and wanted to make her proud." He actually believed his own delusion. He thought he could kill his mother and still claim he loved her. Prison officials decided after that interview that giving him any more platform was too dangerous. Other inmates threatened to riot if they had to keep seeing his face on television. Today, Qaw'mane Wilson sits in solitary confinement, serving a sentence that will keep him locked up until he is 122 years old. The YouTube videos that made him famous have been deleted. The custom Mustang was sold at auction, and the money he stole from his mother's retirement account was donated to domestic violence charities. But the real lesson of this story is not about how evil one person can be. The real lesson is about how love can become a weapon in the wrong hands. Yolanda Holmes gave her son everything. She gave him unconditional love. She gave him endless financial support. She gave him the benefit of the doubt, even when all the warning signs were screaming at her. The life insurance questions should have been the first alarm bell. When an adult child starts asking detailed questions about your death benefits and who gets what money when you die, that is not normal curiosity. That is reconnaissance. That is someone planning something. Yolanda could have set boundaries. She could have demanded to know why he was so interested in her mortality. She could have simply refused to discuss her financial affairs with someone who contributed nothing to the household. But she did not. The strange phone calls in the middle of the night were another massive red flag. When your son starts whispering into his phone at all hours and hangs up when you walk into the room, something is wrong. When he brings around sketchy friends who will not make eye contact, something is wrong. It is time to stop making excuses and start asking hard questions. Love does not mean ignoring obvious danger signs. But the biggest mistake Yolanda made was enabling Qaw'mane's delusions without requiring any accountability. She funded a music career that existed only in his imagination. She bought him luxury items he had not earned. She treated him like a successful artist when he was actually a grown man living off his mother's sacrifice. Real love sometimes means saying no. Real love sometimes means setting limits. Real love sometimes means forcing people to face reality instead of letting them live in a fantasy. The tragedy is that Yolanda Holmes died believing she was being a good mother when she was actually creating the monster that would destroy her. Her unconditional financial support taught Qaw'mane that he was entitled to her money. Her refusal to set boundaries showed him that her resources were his to control. Her blind faith in his character prevented her from seeing the calculating predator he had become. If there is anything we can learn from Yolanda Holmes, it is this. Loving someone and enabling them are two completely different things. You can love your child with all your heart and still say no to their demands. You can believe in your child's dreams and still require them to work for what they want. You can support your family and still protect yourself from being used. Yolanda gave everything to her son because she thought that was what a good mother did. But a good mother also has to be wise. A good mother has to be able to see when love is being taken advantage of. A good mother has to be strong enough to set boundaries even when it hurts. Qaw'mane Wilson killed his mother for money and fame. He got the money temporarily, and he got the fame, but not the kind he wanted. Now he sits alone in a prison cell, rejected even by criminals, talking to walls about a mother he murdered. And his mother is gone. She will never get to see what kind of man her son could have become if she had raised him differently. She will never get to enjoy the retirement she worked so hard for. She will never get to feel proud of anything ever again. This is the story of Yolanda Holmes, a woman who loved too much and trusted too much. A woman who gave everything and received death in return. A woman whose sacrifice should be remembered not as weakness, but as a lesson in what happens when we confuse unconditional love with unconditional enabling. Thank you for watching. If this story affected you in any way, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and tell us what you think about this case. What would you have done differently? How would you have handled a situation like this? Let us know. We will see you in the next one.